Welcome back to the On the House podcast presented by Rochester Homes. Today, I am your host, Regan Newton, and joined with us is Jesse Flynn, a sales rep at Rochester Homes, and his wife, Chrissy. And we also have Zach Stiers, who works in our marketing department at Rochester Homes. So welcome, guys. Glad to have you join us virtually for Zoom. We're all here. Thank you, COVID-19. While we are all kind of trapped in our homes, not being able to go anywhere, we're just going to kind of talk about spring curb appeal projects that you can do to your homes to add some curb appeal to your houses. And the reason we have Zach and Jesse and Chrissy, we're just going to get two different perspectives on curb appeal. Jesse and Chrissy obviously have a brand new home, so they're kind of starting from scratch on the outside of their house this spring. So I'm sure you guys are looking forward to getting some grass in your yard. Not so much mud, right, Chrissy? Yeah, yep. And then Zach has been in his house. He purchased his house almost a year now, and he's looking to do some updates, low budget updates. I think we're going to talk about some lower budget updates to do to existing homes, just to kind of freshen up the outside of the house. So just before we get started, do you guys have any projects that you particularly would like to talk about today? Any ideas, thoughts?
Well, the first thing that we did with it going into spring, which, we built a Rochester home, which is a modular home, and they don't come with gutters. So that would be the first thing that actually adds a little bit of length on your overhangs. And of course, all the spring rain that's coming, it kind of pushes that water away from your house. So that was the first thing that we wanted to get done before we even move forward with anything else.
Pretty important project to have done. And it's, did you guys have to worry about burying the tiles and whatnot? Or did you guys just do the typical downspouts?
Well, we have the downspouts, but around the entire perimeter of the basement, we have the Baughman tile or the corrugated tile underneath the ground. So if there is any water that gets down there, it kind of seeps away from the house anyway.
Yeah. But
other than that, we added an extension to all the gutters just to kind of push that water away a little farther. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So, Chrissy, anything you're excited to do? Decorating the porch, landscaping,
the porch,
planting flowers. Everything.
Yes, the flowers. Our neighbor said, "Be careful because of the deer. The deer will come and eat our."
Oh yeah, yep. So. Yeah. I remember what that was like. Just a little off the topic. My old house is across the street from Jesse and Chrissy, so we purchased a lot of deer-resistant plants because we learned pretty quick that they like to eat a lot of things. So good luck, Chrissy. Zach, anything that you're thinking about doing, any projects you have to kind of spruce up the outside of your house this spring?
I'm kind of like in that maintain mode. Like last year I kind of updated the areas that the pre-existing owner already had of they had rock instead of mulch, so I didn't like the whole rock look, so instead I did mulch. So that was my big project last year, and putting a fire pit in. I think this year I just want to do a better job. There's some shrubs that go around the back of my property that I didn't really maintain last year just for it being my first time. So I think this year it's more, the goal is to maintain and just have it look nice the whole time.
Hey, I like the mulch idea. We did mulch at our previous house, and it was always the black mulch, right?
Yeah.
And I liked the black mulch around.
What didn't you like about the stone, Zach?
I don't know. Maybe it was just the kind of stone that they had in the existing one. But I think I've just always grown up. Like I grew up with my mom and my grandma always having mulch. So I think it's just familiarity with it, and just that's what I've always liked to see. So I don't know. I just didn't like the whole rock aspect. I think it was a lot harder to, with weeds going through it too. Like I saw it as a harder maintenance wise of doing stone, even though I know I'm gonna have to go in with mulch, a top layer of mulch every year anyway. But
yeah, that's what we did. But they have the mulch with that. It has a chemical in it where it doesn't have weeds as much.
Yeah.
It has something in the mulch where it makes it a little easier. But that's pretty much the only maintenance you have is just every year you have to buy, how many bags you need to just redo it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, that's what I have now is the black mulch. I think I wanted that anyway, with the black color, just to make it offset from the exterior of the house that I already had, which is a pretty light exterior. So it kind of just, the contrast of colors made it look a lot better than just a like a white, or the typical stone look.
Right.
So, but yeah, that's pretty much all I did. And yeah, Reagan, just an overview. I did the goal is just maintenance wise, pretty much keeping everything maintained more than last year. So
Okay. All right. And that kind of brings us to one of the first things that you can do to spruce up the outside of your house this spring, is just give it a thorough cleaning. I know Chrissy and Jesse, you guys are obviously in a brand new house. There's not going to be a whole lot to clean up. You may, depending on your sidewalks, pressure wash sidewalks and decks. I know you guys are have been dealing with the mud, and you do have a dog that likes to track mud everywhere. So just good thorough cleanings can actually do a lot to help with the curb appeal of your house. And we're talking about windows and screens, the siding, your roof, sidewalks, porches, decks. Typically some people think of pressure washers, using those. They do have their pros and cons. Sometimes you can get the pressure too high and actually cause damage to your house. So if you're thinking about a pressure washer, just kind of do some research on that. But Zach, as far as the exterior of your house, I'm not sure what it looks like if you have any type of moss growing on the siding, but just, a regular hose, some mild detergent, and soap, water, brush will help clean up the siding of your house quite a bit. And then obviously windows and screens, those get dirty. There's different ways you can clean your screens without putting damage on your screens, and just hosing off your decks, giving them a good scrub, and any type of porch. So thorough cleanings, cheap, budget-friendly way to just kind of spruce up the outside of your house this spring once the weather gets nice outside. Are you happy with your front door color, Zach?
no.
No.
It's kind of well, it's white, so it's not necessarily I don't like the color. I think it's more of it just needs a update / restoration, kind of, because it's kind of banged up just from like scuffs throughout the years and stuff, and just with it being a white door, it's just dirty overall. So I mean, I would like to probably have a darker colored door, but
I don't.
It needs to also, I guess, go along with the siding that I have as well.
So one of the things you could do, just obviously thorough cleaning, scrub your front door. If you're not typically happy with the paint color, just picking a new paint color, painting the front door is a simple process. I know, Jesse, you have some painting experience, don't you?
I have a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Any pointers you want to give on exterior painting?
Don't paint what you don't want painted.
Don't paint what you don't want painted.
Meaning
bring that long cord down, Bill.
sometimes when you cut in your door, you tend to get on the outside of the door, and then you have to touch that up and everything else. So just make sure you're really good at cutting in, or just use tape, which is a little longer process.
So I know before kind of start with a clean slate, clean your door. Do you recommend doing any sanding before you put paint on, Jesse?
I would recommend actually sanding and priming. Just accept new paint better, yeah.
Okay. Yep. And if you're like me and kind of hesitant about colors sometimes, just grab a few samples and throw those up on your door just to kind of see what you like before you dive right in and decide you don't like that paint color. So, and just talking about front doors, there's easy ways to add curb appeal just by throwing a wreath on the front door, or potted plants, personalized doormats. Those are always an easy, quick, budget-friendly fix to spruce up your front door area. So I'm sure, Chrissy, do you have all that on your front porch yet?
That's the fun part, which our wreath, I was so excited to put that out. And once I did, Jesse said, "Oh, it looks like Christmas, but it is spring wreath." I love it.
It's like green and red or something like that. It's like, oh, it looks like Christmas.
But then our doormat, It's like a Friends one. And I just
Uh-huh.
wait till the mud's gone to put that out.
Yeah.
We have
I remember the mud because our house is this is our 4th spring here. And I remember the mud with kids and a dog. So it's a never ending.
Especially when it's raining. It's like every time the dog goes out, he drags in mud, jumps on the furniture. It's like,
our floors are perfect for it. So I'm thankful.
Yeah. Yep. You guys are lucky to have because you guys have the new floors that we have, so you don't have to really typically worry about him running in on carpet and whatnot. So, yep. So, all right. How many, Jesse? You guys have lineals, but no shutters. Zach, you have shutters, right?
Unfortunately. Yeah, I do. I just have old shutters. I think I'd like them better if they were updated.
So, yeah. That's another way just to add some curb appeal is to update your shutters, or even by adding shutters. Never underestimate the power of a shutter. They can completely change the look of your house. If you do have existing shutters, depending on the style, sometimes you can actually add wood trim to them just to change the style, give it some textural feel, and just updating the color of that. I think we just finished up talking about shutters, and the next thing one thing that you can do to help the appearance of your house is to camouflage any eyesores outside. We all have those eyesores as far as electric meters, hoses, spigots, just trying to cover those up. Do you guys have any, Jesse, Chrissy, any creative ways that you guys have disguised any of those meters yet? Bushes?
Yeah. We just planted 5 bushes out front
5
across the front porch, but we plan on wrapping those around just to kind of hide underneath the porch. And there is, of course, on the south side of the house, you have the AC unit and the gas meter that you're just talking about. So kind of make those bushes grow in the next year or two and kind of hide those.
Yeah. Yep. So that's just one way to, some people, as soon as they pull in, their eyes are just drawn to those. So covering those up can just add some curb appeal to your house to cover those eyesores. Different things like wood screens to cover the meters. Obviously, most people recommend that you contact your utility company to make sure that there's no policies as far as actually covering the meters. Sometimes they don't want you to have anything around. I didn't know at our old house, we actually had planted some flowers, not that it was a utility, but it was around our mailbox. And they were not happy about that because in the springtime and summer, it attracted the bees. And yeah, she asked me if I could just get rid of the plants there, because every time she would go to get in our mailbox, there were issues with bees getting her. So, sometimes before you do things like that, if it involves the utility companies or anyone else, just kind of call and see what their policies are as far as covering those up. Sometimes just simply painting the meters to match your house can help disguise them a little bit too, which there's no issue if you just want to paint those meters. That'll help hide them some. So
it kind of goes along with that is we were talking about planting some trees in the yard. Well, obviously these trees that we wanted to plant were like maples. They get fairly big in the next 5-10 years. You might want to think about your gas lines and everything else and where those are located so those roots don't affect those.
Yeah, and that's a good idea too. I was, always recommend if you're going to plant anything too, to call the dig hotline before you dig. Call that hotline, and I think usually those companies are out there fairly soon. I think they have like 3 days to mark with flags or with spray paint. You just kind of tell them what your project is, and they'll come out and mark where any lines might be to, prevent you from hitting anything that you shouldn't hit. So, but I didn't think about roots later on, Jesse. That's a good thought. So, you guys mentioned that you have planted some landscaping, some bushes, right, Jesse? You said.
Yeah, we got 20 pine trees that were like 1 to 2 foot big. So we planted all those along the side of the house to kind of hopefully be a fence in the future to kind of hide our house from the neighbor's house. And then of course we put weeping willow out back and a couple maple trees, and then the bushes in the front. So we've been doing some planting before these spring rains.
Good deal. Yep, it's a good time to get in before the rain, because that helps establish your roots and gets the plants off to a good start. So talking about landscaping, Zach, I know you mentioned that you had ripped out some rocks and put some mulch in. Obviously, if you have existing landscaping, just sprucing up what you do have, adding some color to it, neatening up the edges. Some people actually have a structural edge on their landscaping. Some people prefer to just trim it out, but those nice, neat edges will appear a lot nicer than if you're not maintaining the edges of your landscaping. Adding potted plants into your landscaping adds color, gives some visual contrast. So as far as potted plants, it's limitless. You can do whatever you want with those potted plants. So anything else you'd like to do to your landscaping, Chrissy? Are you a potted plant person? Flowers?
I'm excited for the front. We have the two bedroom windows that are visible from the outside, and in between those, at our old house, we have one of those mini weeping cherry trees, and we drive past our old house, and it's oh my goodness,
Flowers.
Yes, it's so cute. So we're hoping to find another one and put it between those two windows and find just a variety of things that'll still look good in the winter months and throughout the other.
Yeah, that's key, keeping color in the winter. Planting your evergreen shrubbery is a good way to do that. It's always going to be green year round. And then just adding perennials that bloom at various times throughout the year is a good way to keep color around your house all year round. So
I don't like annuals. I like perennials, to where I only have to plant them one time.
And that's it.
It comes up every year.
I agree.
Exactly like that.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I have, and I don't plan on putting anything else there. That's what was here when I got here, and I haven't touched it, and it makes it look good out front, and I didn't have to do anything.
And most perennials are budget friendly. If you know somebody that has some established perennial beds, a lot of times that those are just easy to transplant, divide. A lot of, most of the time they kind of overgrow and people want to get rid of them. So that's a quick, cheap, easy way to get some color into your landscaping that's going to be there every year. So you guys planning on putting any landscaping lights up, Jesse?
We were just talking about that yesterday. You can get these fairly inexpensive lights that, use the sun. It's not even battery operated, that you put in, and then they light up when it gets dark. So we're going to put some of those across the front. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. I was actually talking to Zach the other day that landscape light is a good way to add curb appeal to your home. And typically when people think of landscaping light, they think of lights in the ground, but you can utilize, if you have mature trees or shrubs, you can utilize those, or any covered porch areas with string lights and lanterns, just to get some light up in the air versus down on the ground. It's a good way to add some curb appeal to your house, and just kind of creates a casual, relaxing environment in the evening if you're hosting parties or anything like that. So
yeah, that's kind of what I've done in my backyard last year. Was I put in 2 9-foot poles in the air and have those typical Edison bulb string lights going around in a square. So that's been nice. I know that's not technically the curb where everyone can see, but yeah, I did most of all my stuff in the backyard. So I need to work on the front yard this year, I guess.
I like that.
Yeah, it was pretty inexpensive. I mean, the light bulbs were pretty much the only expensive part, and just trying to dig a hole far enough down to where I didn't need to use cement, so I didn't have to buy that either. So
did you leave your lights up through the winter, Zach, or are you gonna have to?
Nope, I was responsible this winter, and I took them down, so I didn't have to re-buy lights. So I'm waiting on to be confident that the weather is gonna stay warmish to where I can put them back up. So
yep. So that kind of brings us to, Zach, I think that your lights are kind of around a fire pit area, so just creating a social space outside is a good way to add some curb appeal to your house. Just make a cozy outdoor spot to hang out. I know Jesse and Chrissy, you guys have a pretty front porch that I noticed the other day. You had some furniture on. And I think it sounds like plans to put a deck out back.
Yep.
So you'll have some good spots for some social space.
Yeah, actually, we're going to hang a tire swing tonight.
Ooh,
In the backyard, so.
nice.
How are you hanging it?
It's
Do you have
for me.
Brody.
I'll be out there swinging occasionally.
I'll honk when I drive by. Give you a little wave. So yeah, just you know, like I said, adding an outdoor spot to hang out. If you have some traditional pieces laying around that are kind of outdated, just pop on a cheerful hue of paint to those, and that'll draw the attention to that area. And obviously outdoor pillows are a way to just soften up the space and make it feel cozy and like you're outside, or bring the inside to the outside. Side tables, coffee tables, you know, obviously for beverages and food are a good idea. You know. Yeah.
We actually, last year, was it last year? We went and got, they were actually old wine barrels, and we had the downspouts from the gutters going into the wine barrels, and we put a water spigot on the side of it. So then we could use that rainwater for all the plants, because supposedly plants, you're supposed to use regular rainwater instead of regular water for plants.
Yeah, I've heard that, especially like city water, because I know that they have like a low amount of chlorine. Is it chlorine that they have in it, maybe? Or I just know there's some, you know, it's not just your regular tap water that you're putting into those pots. But that's a good idea. We don't have, we do not have a spigot on the east side of our house, so it's difficult to get water over there when we were working on landscaping and whatnot last year. So the rain barrels were actually one thought that we'd had, and obviously we haven't done it yet, but looking into it. So it's nice to know that it worked for you guys.
Yeah, it looks really cool out front with the two wooden barrels out there. It's just kind of a neat look.
Yep. Do yours have, I know some of them I looked at had like a separate area on top that you could actually plant flowers in, or you guys, do you?
We can make it that way. I mean, the top just has a hole in the very top. So.
Okay. Did you notice mosquitoes around? Like, they just said it's like a breeding ground for mosquitoes. So I didn't know if you ever noticed anything or had to put any sort of chemical in it to keep the mosquitoes out of there.
No, we haven't really had to worry about that. I mean, the hole on the very top is fairly small, so we didn't really see any big issues with mosquitoes because of the stagnant water, but no issues. But we use the water quite a bit anyway to water the plants, so there wasn't always a ton of water in it. Yeah,
that's a good idea. So, well, I don't know. Do you guys have any other projects? Anything on your list, Jesse, Chrissy?
The only thing that we've been thinking about is I like to cook on the grill and flat top and everything, be outside on these nice nights. So we were tossing around right next to the porch that we're going to build is do like a little pad just for the smokers and the grills and everything to sit on, and put maybe a little roof over it so they can sit out there. It can almost be storage as well.
Okay, I was going to ask if you were planning on covering it or what your thoughts were there. Yeah, we have the flat top griddle, and it's been in a lot of spots at our house, and we just haven't quite found the perfect location for it. So it'll be interesting to see how yours works out, and we might have to come over and check it out sometime to see.
That flat top, it has a lot of grease around it whenever you're cooking, so.
Yeah, we had it on our deck for a while, and we quickly learned that that was not the spot for it. So, and grease spots are pretty difficult to get out of wood. Yep. So, all right, Zach, back to you. Do you have a garage door? I can't remember if you have a garage on your house, so that'd just be another thing. If I'm not sure what color of garage door you have, but obviously going along with painting your front door, just painting your garage door to freshen it up, adding hardware to it. I know you can buy hardware kits. A lot of them are like the matte black, just to add a pop of contrast to your garage door.
Yeah, after learning, I mean, mine's just a simple, traditional, just white one. It's a single car garage. And then one time when I was at your house, Jesse, you told me that there were magnetic hardware, so that's even easier to install, that I can risk-free put hardware on my garage, my plain garage door. So I thought that was pretty cool, how it's just as simple as sticking it on there. No holes or power tools or anything.
Yep, Chrissy actually ordered those. There's several on there to choose from, so she ordered and they were delivered to the house.
Love them.
I'll have to get that site from you, Chrissy. So we have some, but our garage doors are on our list this spring. They, I'm not sure if it was the painter or the quality of paint, but they have not withheld. They don't look good at the moment. So it looks like our panels are 4 different colors for some reason. So we're gonna have to tackle painting those and maybe get some new hardware for them, because the hardware we have, I just don't think proportionally looks right with the size of the garage door. So might have to get that site from you, Christy.
Can do.
Right. Another thing I had on my list, Zach, is just a mailbox makeover. You know, some people typically don't put much thought into their mailboxes, but adding a new mailbox definitely will spruce up the outside of your house. If you kind of have a rusty looking one that's fairly old, just putting up a new mailbox can add a lot to your home.
Zach, didn't you say that you were in need of a new mailbox?
I'm in need of a redesign of my mailbox. It's across the, I'm on the barely the edge of town, so my mailbox is classified to be across the street instead of actually in front of my house, like on the same side of the street. So it gets hit a lot from semis, at least the version that's out there now. So I think I'm gonna go to a stone one or something something more durable than. And I don't even know if they're necessarily hitting it. Just the wind itself. It's just a wooden post out there. Was what it was originally. So, 1, it doesn't look good, and 2, it's not structurally very good out there. So.
I think because you live on a highway, right, Zach?
Yeah.
So, I grew up on a highway, and snowplows would do a lot to my parents' mailbox. I remember that. So maybe it's not the semis. It could be snowplows.
Yeah, I think that they were the cause of one of them. I found it in a foot of snow one time, so I had to pull that out. That was fun that morning. So it's been interesting in the first year of this house. A lot of learning curves going on. So I know how to fix a mailbox, though.
Yep.
One good thing out of it, right?
Yeah.
You want to come fix my mailbox? Ours is, we don't even live on a highway. We live on a county road, and we've been hit a few times. So I think this last time did it.
Time to refresh and update.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. The actual door on it, they ripped the door off of it, so there's no door on our mailbox, and I have found our mail blowing in the yard a few times, so it doesn't like to stay in there without a lid on. So we're gonna have to get a new mailbox soon. So
they're relatively cheap, so that's the nice thing about it. That the actual box itself is cheap itself, so it's just how decorative or how simple you want it to go. So
yeah. And while we're talking about mailboxes, obviously you have to have your house numbers on your mailboxes. I think if I remember right, if you live in city limits, you have to have house numbers on the side of your house too. Does that sound right, Zach? Do you have?
I do not have house numbers on my house when I bought it, so I have not been told I need it either. But it is on my mailbox.
No, I thought there was something to do with city limits, that you had to have your house numbers on your house too. And maybe that's, maybe I'm thinking something else, but I
think I want to add it anyway. I've seen certain styles of numbers that I do like that would go along with the theme of my house that I want to put together. So I think I would want to add them anyway, just to give it something to break up. The front of my house is pretty plain, so.
Yep. And there's a lot of fun ways to add those numbers. Some people put them directly on the house. Some people find it's almost like a flower box, that the flower box has the numbers on it, and then you can obviously plant. But you know, the possibilities with that are pretty much endless, and you can get creative with those. And there's a lot of fun, new, modern style house numbers too out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chrissy actually got some stickers, didn't you?
Yeah, just a sticker for the mailbox.
Yeah.
I love.
Yep, we had stickers on our mailbox at our old house. But is there anything else that you were wanting to talk about, Zach? Like another project that you had in mind?
That's the thing, I can't afford projects, so I don't have any projects in my mind. So there's plenty of stuff I'd like to do. I'd love to put a deck/porch on the front of my house. I think that really, in my head, it looks good. I don't know if practically, but there's just not a lot of space to work with in my yard, and it's a narrow yard. That a deck in the back would eliminate my backyard. So I just thought, a front. I don't have a porch. I just have steps and a railing that lead up to the front door. Just thought an area there would look good for different options. But
another thing Chrissy and I were talking about, Regan, were the front porch pillars, or the 4x4s.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Doing like a different color, almost like a red cedar or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about.
Yeah.
We were talking about just doing them like white, like wrapping them with a PVC white, like wood, because that red cedar going down to a deck that's just a treated deck, I don't know if that would look right, wouldn't it?
I've seen it both ways, where they stain the decks and then they just actually, I've seen it both ways, where the deck is stained to match, and then I've seen it where the deck is just like a weathered, whatever your deck would do naturally in the weather. And I, think it's personal preference, but it wouldn't bother me. Some people it may bother that it doesn't match, but I don't necessarily think that it's a bad thing. A lot of times from the road, you really wouldn't be able to tell, especially if you have a railing going across too, because that railing is going to kind of hide some of your deck anyway. But like I said, it's probably just more of a personal preference. But yeah, I think the white would look sharp. Are you guys you talked at one time maybe doing some stone?
Well, I got away from the stone because the 4x4s are so far out, like close to the edge, to where the stone go past the edge and look.
Yeah, that's true. So I think the house next to you guys, they did the white post, and it looks really sharp. And obviously it would contrast well with the color of siding and your black windows. I think it would look sharp. And you guys obviously have the stair, like the front steps too, working on that project too, aren't you? So, yeah. I remember Jesse showed me numerous drawings, ideas.
Yeah, I was brainstorming.
Yeah, it's good to brainstorm. So.
You need to agree with me on this and tell Regan or tell Chrissy that this is what you like. Okay? If this is the one you like, Regan.
Yeah, there were a lot of times I was called into your office. He's like, "You need to tell Chrissy that this." So Chrissy, if he ever comes home and says, "Regan said we should do this,"
several times,
don't always believe him. So, all right. Well, you guys have any other projects on your list this summer? Spring, summer?
We'll chip away at them.
Yep. Sounds like you guys have your hands full. I remember what it's like. So, and we're still been here 4 years and we're still working on the outside. So it's a lot, but you guys will get there.
I think home, you won't have much work, but that's not the case.
Do what?
You would think building a new home, you wouldn't have that much work, but that's not the case.
Oh yeah. Yep. I know. New homes are nice, but there is the outside it's a lot. And even in the inside, you get in there and you think that, move all your old stuff in, but a lot of times you realize that you've switched styles and your old stuff isn't exactly what you want in your new house. So it's just seems like it's a never ending project, but slowly chip away at it. So. Zach, anything else on your list this spring?
No, just making it look better than the next year, I guess, just maintaining wise. So yeah. I really need to power wash the outside. I kind of half did it when my family was over to help me with the mulch project. So it was better than what it was, but I can definitely see it has progressed over last year. So I think I need to just do a once over really good time this time of just cleaning and maintaining this spring. So
yeah. Well, sounds like we all have our hands full this spring with some outdoor projects that we would like to accomplish, and we appreciate everyone joining us today on the House podcast. And I'll let Zach take over with where you can find us. He's in charge of all the posting, so we'll let Zach do his thing.
Yeah, you can find us on Spreaker, pretty much where podcasts are found, Apple, iTunes, and Spotify. And then you can also watch the video version if you'd like on YouTube and Facebook. Every once in a while too, we'll have either little clips or the full podcast itself. So.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, guys, and good luck on your projects.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. We'll see you.